Today we have a very special guest from across the pond, Tom Walsh.
I run and own a company called Gunfire Limited. We're a passive fire protection limited company, and I'll get into that. We've been around since 2000.
So let's start with the top 3 things you did that made you successful in business, and how can others follow in that footstep?
One of the first things, I've been with the best. I came into Gunfire in 2015. Sort of almost fell into it in a way. I've been with the business a while, and I've had the benefit of growing with the business. You know, don't get me wrong. I think if you'd have thrown me in with my experience 10 years ago into the size it is now, probably would have struggled. But I think one of the biggest sort of successes we've had is learning from our mistakes and learning quickly. One thing, Martin, my business coach, says is sort of, fail forward. If you're going to make a mistake, stick your hand up, own up to it and figure it out as quickly as you can. We had a project in London where we had a couple of floors on a new build apartment block, and the detail the guys was defective. We jumped in it, learned from it, and actually that client has become one of our best clients now, because they've realized working with Gunfire that, when the backs are against the walls, we'll come out fighting, and we'll fix the issue, basically. So that's number one: learn from mistakes quickly. Then I'd say, don't make the same mistake again. Obviously, measuring key data for us as well has been massive. Some people have been here a long time. A little bit resistant to change in terms of that's the way we've always done it. Quite a difficult statement, and obviously quite a dangerous one in running a business, because you don't move on. But we've taken on loads of data driven things, project management software where we can see what the guys are doing. More recently, an internet phone system, which some people aren't too keen on, but measures number of calls in and out. And certainly, all the good sales guys love it, because they're gonna, those guys will be like, no, love the phone call, going to be picking things up. And then, first of all, I think when I started doing that, it was kind of like, let's measure everything, and then sort of figured out, look, actually, we've probably got to, what really matters to the business. You can have all this stuff underneath that, you kind of expect people to do in their day-to-day business. Measuring that is great, but probably not important for where I sit in the business. So then moving into things, measure what matters in terms of, finance data for us, is big, and compliance as well for us, in terms of checking the work that we do on site. So really having that main dashboard for me is really important. And then the last one is really putting the right people in the right seat. Surrounded myself with a very good leadership team. Individually, I'll stick my hand up. They're all better at their job than I was. I mean, I've grown with the business. I've done their roles, and I've brought them into the business, and they are much better than me. I keep on top of them, but I allow them to do their job. Third one is getting the right team in place.
What made you decide to get into this business? What said, you know what, Tom? Was it a job? Was it, you said you fell in? So tell the listeners out, how did this all play out?
Gunfire at the moment is a subsidiary of a group company, and that's changing over the next couple of months. And the owner of the subsidiary the group company, was chairman of a rugby club that I went to go and play for. I was when I left school, I went straight into a pro contract with rugby, dislocated my knee, and then was there for 2 years, didn't really play any rugby, so I got released. And the owner of this company, a guy called Jerry Otto, who's been in the business for a while, he came along and said, well, come and work for me for 3 months, and see how you get on. And that was actually, so that was 17 years ago. I worked for one of his other businesses. The opportunity came up 10 years ago to come over and start running Gunfire. And that's really when I say I fell into it. And then since then I've grown with the business, and I've gone from running projects, pricing projects, to gradually being able to grow the business organically, and really try and put the right people in the right place. So that's really how I've got to today, and I've been lucky along the way. Again, with action coaching with Martin, I took him on 2 years ago now. Basically because I thought, hang on a minute, I've been here for over 17 years in total. Okay, for both businesses, 17 years in total. I'm very bad at saying the word, but institutionalized. Where I've been in this one business. I played pro rugby. I came into this business. I needed to learn, from the outside. So took on Martin, and then since then he's challenged me every other week. Every time I see him, good challenges and good things come in place, and it's a big lesson learned that we're never finished. That there isn't a finish line. There's just the next target, next target, next target.
Let's talk about your business coach. Let's look at business coaching for a minute. First off, why did you get one?
I'd never thought about a business coach, or I suppose I probably had that into a bit of a life coach thing. I'm not really into that. And then an ex-rugby pal of mine it's like, look, Tom, I can do an intro. You can have a chat with him, and think it'd be really good for you. So I jumped on a call with Martin Bailey, is my coach, and had an hour with him, and I thought, and then I think that I've never been in the business so long before that. I needed to get an outside opinion of how businesses can operate, how we can make a real success of this business, how we can go from 5 to 7 to 8 to 10 to 20 million quid. I can't do that on my own. And I need someone to come in and help me and coach me through that, and really help me grow, and then scale the business to a point where we've got some lofty targets in the next 5 years. So that was really why I wanted to learn. I wanted to, the owner of the group company is 71 now. He was at the point where he's out of the business, so that there was no real mentorship for me. And I'm, regardless of how old I look, Andy, I'm actually only 37. So I've so I've got a lot to learn, and I thought, let's go for it. What's the worst that can happen? And 2 years later, we're still working together, me and Martin. So it's good. And I've actually got a few other people in the business working with Martin as well. Our ops director, James, he's been working with Martin for the last 18 months. Our technical director's working with Martin on a one-to-one basis once a month. And then I get our whole leadership team together for an off-site day, and we do our, 90-day goal planning and quarterly planning with him specifically, so that we can, so we got everyone kind of getting on the same page a lot quicker than me kind of just relaying the messages after I've seen Martin and what I'm working on. I wanted to try and bring it in together as a bit of a group to, like, what are we working on? This is us together, and it's a team that's going to push this business forward.
And that's a wrap for today's epic conversation here on Epic Entrepreneurs. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button, leave a review, share it, or hit that bell. But until next time, let's make sure you keep dreaming, take massive action, and stay epic.